Hi BookTube, this is Johnny. My last video was a long one, and I noticed that the camera I was using shut off after about 29 minutes. I was using this camera. I thought this one had a long memory card on it. I thought it had longer than 30 minutes, but apparently I was wrong. I have my newest camera, which I know if I used, I could probably tape for over an hour, but I don't want to become tedious in my videos. So I have to make this fast because I'm using my wife's old camera, which I started using when I first started making videos in BookTube. This small little Canon Power Shot. So I'm using it, and I'm hoping that at least I'll get at least 15 minutes. So I better hurry up here. So today is a Monday here in West Michigan. It is a Monday night, 7:23 at night. It is March the 5th. I'm still going. My wife will be home from Denver, where she's visiting our daughter and her family for a week. She'll be back late Wednesday night, probably maybe 11 o'clock or midnight Wednesday. If we'll see. As far as my diary today, I ended on page for 2018 for the year thus far, 173 pages. So what did I read today? Well, first of all, Monday I volunteer at the library used bookstore, the Book Nook. And I did that this morning from 10 o'clock until 1. And I always get a free book for volunteering. And this is the free book for volunteering. It's called Landscape in Memory by Simon Schama. I collect his writings. I have 4 of his books. I was going to show them in this video, but I thought, hey, you guys don't want to see that. But it says here, what do we see in our mind's eye when we talk about nature? Where do these images come from that haunt our minds? Of the forest primeval, the river of life, the sacred mountain. Are they myths, or were they once real places? Opening a radically new and original path into history, Simon Schama explores the scenery of our Western culture, both real landscapes and landscapes of the mind that had given us our sense of homeland, the dark woods of our imagined origins. What unfolds is a series of compelling journeys through space and time, from the ancient woodland of Poland, a symbol over the centuries of national endurance, through the forest birthplace of German psyche, to the big trees of Yosemite that gave a new nation its holy past, from the banks of the Nile and the fountain of Rome to the great flow of the old Father Thames, carrying memories of the waterway as the blood life itself through the world, from the cliffs of Alexander's Greece, where men first tested their need to measure themselves against mountains and write themselves into the very surfaces, all the way to Mount Rushmore. And then it goes on. He has very interesting books. I check them out. I didn't have this one. You know, there's all kinds of illustrations in here, you know. I call him a culture historian, intellectual history. So check him out, Landscape in Memory by Simon Schama. And then I bought these books for $5. This is Alexander Pushkin, Complete Prose Edition, translated with introduction notes by Paul Debreczeny. This is the Alexander Pushkin. Those who go to college and universities know that he's very famous Russian writer. I have some works by him. This is his complete prose fiction. And then this is another Russian writer. Somebody donated a bunch of Russian writer. I saw them in the back last week, and they put them out, and so I grabbed them. I remember when I was in high school. Well, I know a couple of years ago, I read the Brothers Koganov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. This is one I picked too, called The Adolescents, which I never heard of. This has been translated out of Russian by these two people, Richard Pevear and Larissa Vanderhyden. He wrote the Brothers Koganov, which I read, Crime and Punishment, Demons, The Idiot. So I got that today. And then I got this too by Ivan Turgenev, First Love and Other Stories. So I bought those. I used to be really into the Russians when I was in high school. And like I said, a couple of years ago, I read that Brothers Koganov. And I haven't read Demon. I have it in our library. So I got those today at the Book Nook. And yesterday was a Sunday. I went downtown. My wife's out of town. I went downtown, had breakfast. And after I went downtown, it's called the Windmill Restaurant here in Holland. And around 8 o'clock, I walked down to the Reader's World, which is a family-owned bookstore, magazines, children's books. It has all kinds. It's just a regular bookstore, retail. And I picked up a New York Times, which I read most of the day yesterday. You can get the New York Times. It has the New York Times book review. And while I was there, I picked up the new Paul Auster novel, 4321. I picked this up. This thing's really massive. It's almost over 800 pages. I collect Paul Auster. I have a lot of his books. And I've read his memoirs just recently. He wrote several memoirs. So I got that. I've been reading the last 2 days primarily this book, The Invented Part by Rodrigo Fresan. This is translated from the Spanish by Will Vanderhyden. I've just been kind of just reading this constantly. I read it all day yesterday. I read it all day today. I read 151 pages. There's no narrative. You could really basically you could just open this and read it anywhere. There's no really any. There is a certain kind of connection to the whole book. I've read a lot of reviews. Not a lot of reviews. There's not many reviews on the internet, but I've read interviews with him, the guy who translated it. I'm trying to get an idea of what's going on because there's a lot of stream of consciousness. There's a lot of, it gets kind of confusing, but that's part of postmodernism, if you want to call it that. I don't know what postmodernism or modernism, but it's kind of different. But I get a lot. I chuckle a lot. If you know me, I rarely laugh or rarely chuckle, and I find myself when I read this, I like I'm kind of like black humor. I kind of like absurdity, and there's some really crazy, absurd things that he writes sometimes. Just strikes me really kind of funny, which to me, what people I think is funny, most people just kind of look at me like, what is that? So I don't know. So I've been reading that. So that's what I'm basically reading. I don't know. The last couple of mornings, I haven't been able to read N.T. Wright's biography, The Apostle Paul. I'm kind of thinking about it. I don't know. I'm kind of a little. My wife has been gone, and I'm kind of a little bit unhinged. A little bit kind of like just feeling kind of spaced. So, so I read this. Of course, I'm always writing in my diary, watching BookTube, and like I said, I read a lot of the New York Times. This thing here, That's interesting. The last thing I read here was there was a little. The travel thing was on Virginia Woolf. Virginia Woolf's Lost Eden, Cornwall, England, had a profound effect on one of the impressionable young girl, Virginia Woolf, who later became a modernist literary pioneer. So it goes into Cornwall and how it affected to the life of Virginia Woolf, and what's it like today. So I was reading that, travel. So it's kind of interesting. As far as the book review, I don't know. There's a big book review. I didn't really see anything here that struck me. I do have a book coming in the mail tomorrow, a New York book review book that I'll show in the next video. It's supposed to snow tonight and tomorrow, so I don't think I'll go anywhere. There is a book sale this coming Saturday, but I'm not sure. I'm kind of feeling kind of freaked. I don't know if I want to be on the road or leave the house. So we'll see how I feel. So that's it here in my book world. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the encouraging words. Thank you for subscribing, and I'll sign off. I suppose this is Monday Reads. I was going to talk about this book here, The Merry Heart, Reflections on Reading, Writing, and the World of Books by Robertson Davies. There's something he wrote here about reading and that how we're supposed to read for pleasure. And I was thinking, I've been thinking about doing the books that have brought me pleasure, not, intellectual pleasure, literary pleasure, and I might do that. But I was wondering, anybody out there who watches my videos, what books would you recommend to have brought you pleasure? Not, I'm talking about reading pleasure, intellectual pleasure. What books can stand out in your mind? I was thinking about last night. I have a whole list of books that over the years that I have read that were very pleasurable reading. Not only secular books, but Christian books. I find this book pleasurable reading. I don't find it boring. I don't find it dry. I find it very pleasurable, if you want to use that word. I am curious about this Paul Auster book, 4321. What's it going to taste like? Is it going to be pleasurable? Now, I've enjoyed his other writings. I've read like his memoirs. I don't know if I've read any of his novels. I can't remember right now. His wife is a writer too, but her name escapes me right now. She's really a good writer, his wife, which I really enjoyed reading her writings. Anyway, but this is a good little book too by Robertson Davies, The Merry Heart, Reflections on Reading, Writing, and the World of Books. I read this, I get it out to relax my mind, because right now, I'll tell you the truth, I've been gorging myself on this book, and I'm kind of having indigestion, so I might have to put it aside tomorrow and let it just settle in my brain. So anyway, enough of my rambling. I'll sign off, hoping you're having a good night and have a good week. Till next time, bye.